is Robert Spring, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the warm-up that I do every day. I start every day with long tones. I think they're really important because as you're doing long tones, and what you're doing is you're warming up not only the muscles in the face, the muscles in the arms, the breathing apparatus, but you're also warming up your ears, and you're warming up the whole idea of what you want to sound like. I set the metronome at 60, and I simply do a chromatic scale, starting from low E, and I extend it up as high as I can go right now, about an F above the super high C. I play 4 notes in one breath, I hold every note for four counts, and breathe every 4 notes. So anyway, what I'm doing is exhaling for 16 seconds. I take this up to the highest note I can go on a clarinet. Right now, that's a high F. Next I go through close scales, and I take them, as many of them as possible, 3 octaves, but you can read it right off the page. And what I'm trying to do is to go slowly as possible and to make sure that every note sounds like the note in front of it and the note behind it. Following that, I do the Behrman, actually Langinus, arpeggios from page 14 of the Langinus book 3. Again, making every note sound like the note in front of it and the note behind it. Quite often, this is where I actually start. With my students, I have them breathe every 2 keys. This is quite often when I begin circular breathing. And so on. At this point, it feels like my fingers are pretty well warmed up, and what I want to do now is to increase the tempo. So I do thirds at a quarter note equals 120. Again, trying to make sure my fingers are as relaxed as possible. At this point, I start bumping the tempo up a little bit because my fingers feel pretty good and they feel like everything's moving. I do arpeggios at 120 and then I move it up to 176. I do all my major, minor scales, thirds, and arpeggios. The scales are from the close scales, page 123 out of the large book. And as I said before, the thirds are also from close, the arpeggios are from Langinus. That tempo. I go through all the major scales and minor scales in both natural, melodic, and harmonic form, and then the thirds. everything as smooth and as clean as possible. The next thing I do is I work on my articulation. And for that I use page 22 out of the Langenus book 3. And I start out every day at 120. I play the complete page at 120 and again at 144. Again at 176, this is all single-tongued. .208. .224. And the last tempo that I just added last year was 240. At that point I feel like my single tongue is pretty well warmed up and I start doing some double tonguing. For that I start and I do scales and I double tongue at, again at 120, 144, 176, 208, 240, and I stop there. .176. .208. .224. And 240. The next thing I do is I start out and I'm doing triple tonguing. I start that at the same respective tempos. So this would be 160. And I just keep bumping that up at the same respective tempos as I did the other one. So you're ending up with the whole warm-up that I do takes about 45 minutes to 1 hour. I usually follow that with all of my white-hot kind of technical practice at that point. And I find that by doing this every day, it not only increases my endurance, but it also increases my technical abilities and my abilities to not only do double tonguing, single tonguing, whatever, but to have a little more control over the clarinet. Thank you.